This list is going to be controversial. Narrowing it down to just 15 of the most perfect games was exhausting, and I spent many weeks replaying some of them. But after a long time, I finally arrived at this list. And honestly, if you haven't played any of these games yet, you'd better hurry up and play them, because we never know when we're going to die. So without any fluff, no sponsored picks, just my honest, genuine opinion. 1. Days Gone. Let's kick things off with a game that, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated masterpieces of the last decade, Days Gone. I remember when this dropped, the critics were a bit lukewarm, but man, they missed the mark. You play as Deacon St. John, a biker who's just trying to survive in a world that's completely gone to hell. What makes this game perfect for me is the bond you develop with your bike. It's not just a vehicle, it's your lifeline. The gameplay is famous for its hordes. I still remember the first time I accidentally stumbled upon the Sawmill Horde, 500 freakers pouring out like a literal wave of death. It's pure, unadulterated adrenaline. But the heart of the game is the story. It's a slow burn about grief, loyalty, and the bromance between Deacon and Boozer that feels so incredibly real. If I have to be honest, the first few hours can feel a bit like a fetch quest simulator, and the human AI isn't always the brightest. But once the world opens up and you start upgrading your bike and your gear, the loop becomes addictive. It captures that Pacific Northwest vibe perfectly. Beautiful, rainy, and terrifying. It's a gritty, soulful journey that deserves a spot on your bucket list. 2. Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm just gonna say it. Arthur Morgan is the best protagonist ever written. Period. Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just a game, it's a living, breathing simulation of the death of the Old West. Rockstar's attention to detail is actually insane. The way the snow deforms, the way your horse reacts to a snake, the way Arthur's beard grows in real time. It forces you to slow down and actually live in 1899. The gameplay is heavy and deliberate. Everything has an animation, which some people find sluggish, but for me, it just adds to the immersion. The shootouts are cinematic and brutal, especially with that Deadeye system, but the real magic happens at the camp. Sitting by the fire, listening to Dutch's latest plan while the gang sings songs, it makes the eventual tragedy hit 10 times harder. My only gripe is the mission design is super rigid. If you step 5 feet off the path Rockstar wants you on, you fail. It's a bit of a clash with the freedom of the open world. But the ending? Man, I was a total wreck. It's a 60-hour epic about redemption and the price of loyalty that stays with you forever. If you haven't lived Arthur's story, you haven't seen what this medium is truly capable of.
Let's move out, Artyom.
Number 3, Metro Exodus. Now, if you want atmosphere that you can practically taste, you need to play Metro Exodus. Moving the series from the claustrophobic tunnels of Moscow to a massive cross-continental train journey on the Aurora was a genius move. Each hub world feels like a different seasonal nightmare, from the frozen ruins of the Volga to the scorching deserts of the Caspian. The gameplay is all about immersion. There's no traditional HUD. You check your physical map, look at your watch to see how much air is left in your filter, and wipe the blood off your gas mask. It makes every encounter with a mutant or a bandit feel desperate. The weapon customization is top tier too. Building a sniper rifle out of scrap metal in the middle of a forest just feels right. The voice acting can be a bit cheesy at times, especially in the English dub, and the silent protagonist thing, RTM doesn't talk during gameplay, feels a bit dated when everyone is pouring their hearts out to you. But the tension, the feeling of being a small group of survivors against a world that wants you dead, it's unmatched. The final level in the Dead City is one of the most hauntingly beautiful things I've ever experienced. It's survival horror at its most poetic.
That's a real man's car.
Number 4, GTA 5.
It's easy to meme on GTA 5 because it's been out for 3 console generations, but there's a reason it's the second best-selling game of all time. It's nearly perfect. Los Santos is a masterpiece of satire. Every billboard, every radio ad, and every NPC interaction is a jab at modern society. The 3 protagonist system with Michael, Franklin, and Trevor was a gamble that paid off perfectly. Switching between a retired mobster, a street hustler, and a literal psychopath mid-mission is still a blast. The gameplay is the gold standard for do-whatever-you-want sandboxes. One minute you're planning a multi-stage heist with cinematic camera angles, the next you're base jumping off Mount Chiliad or getting into a 5-star police chase. The driving feels weightless but fun, and the shooting is solid Rockstar fare. It's the ultimate playground game. The downside? The story starts to lose some of its steam in the final act, and Trevor, while hilarious, can sometimes feel a bit too over the top for the more grounded moments with Michael's family. But honestly, as a technical achievement and a cultural landmark, it's untouchable. It's the game that defined an era. If you've only played the online mode, do yourself a favor and play the campaign. It's a riot from start to finish.
Number 5, The Last of Us Part 2. I know, this is probably the most polarizing game on the entire list. But putting the internet drama aside, The Last of Us Part 2 is a technical and narrative miracle. Naughty Dog created a world that feels so lived in and miserable that you can almost smell the rot. You play as a rage-fueled Ellie, and the story is a brutal, uncomfortable look at the cycle of violence. It doesn't want you to feel like a hero, it wants you to feel the weight of every life you take. The gameplay is peak stealth action. The way Ellie crawls through tall grass, squeezes through tight gaps, and uses the environment feels so fluid. The AI is terrifying. They call out to each other by name, and when you take one down, their friends scream in actual grief. It's haunting. Then the game pulls that massive mid-story switch to Abby, forcing you to walk in the shoes of the person you've spent 10 hours hating. It's a bold, risky move that absolutely shattered my perspective. If I have to be critical, the pacing can feel a bit dragged out in the middle of the Seattle days, and yeah, it's a misery simulator. There isn't much light at the end of this tunnel, but the level of detail, the performances by Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey, and that final quiet scene by the farm, it's a masterpiece of emotional storytelling. It's a game that challenges you, and that's exactly why it's perfect. 6. Resident Evil 4 Remake. How do you remake one of the greatest games of all time? Apparently, you just do what Capcom did with Resident Evil 4 Remake. They took the 2005 original and polished it until it sparkled. Leon S. Kennedy is back, heading to a creepy Spanish village to save the president's daughter, and the vibe is just chef's kiss. It balances campy action and genuine horror better than almost any game out there. The gameplay is where this remake really shines. The new parry mechanic with the knife is a total game changer. There's nothing more satisfying than parrying a chainsaw with a combat knife. It makes the combat feel fast and tactical. The villains, from the big cheese Torres Mendez to the iconic Osmond Sadler, are reimagined with so much more grit. And let's not forget the merchant. I still spend way too much time just listening to him talk while I decide which gun to upgrade. The only downside? Some of the charm from the original's cheesier dialogue was toned down for a more serious tone, which I missed a little bit. But the updated controls and the intense set pieces, like the lake fight or the castle siege, make up for it. It's a masterclass in how to honor the past while pushing the genre forward. It's pure, unadulterated fun from start to finish. 7. God of War 2018. Watching Kratos, the man who literally murdered the entire Greek pantheon, try to be a restrained father to Atreus is one of the best character arcs in history. God of War 2018 was a massive risk, moving to Norse mythology, changing the camera to a tight over-the-shoulder view, and adding a kid. But man, did it pay off. The one-shot camera technique, where there are no cuts for the entire game, makes the journey feel so intimate and unbroken. The gameplay feels heavy and impactful. The Leviathan axe is probably my favorite weapon in any game. Throwing it and feeling it thud back into your hand via the haptic feedback is a dopamine hit every single time. The combat is a brutal dance of ice and fire, and the puzzles are just clever enough to keep you thinking without slowing down the pace. The bond that grows between Kratos and Boy is the real heart here. You feel the awkwardness and the hidden love in every line. My only complaint, the boss variety is a bit thin. You end up fighting a lot of the same trolls in different colors. But the Valkyrie fights, those will test your soul. It's a gorgeous, mature, and deeply personal epic. It took a one-dimensional rage monster and made him human. If you haven't sat through this father-son road trip, you're missing out on a landmark in gaming history.
8. DeathStranding. Alright, let's talk about the walking simulator that actually changed the way I think about games. DeathStranding is Hideo Kojima at his most unrestrained. You play as Sam Porter Bridges, Norman Reedus, a delivery man in a post-apocalyptic world where the dead have come back to haunt the living. The goal? Reconnect America by delivering packages. It sounds like a chore, but it's one of the most meditative and rewarding experiences I've ever had. The gameplay turns the environment itself into the enemy. You have to manage your weight, watch your balance, and plan your route across mountains and rivers. But the social strand system is the genius part. You never see other players, but you see their footprints, the bridges they built, and the ladders they left behind. Finding a generator left by a stranger when your battery's at 1% is a feeling of genuine human connection that no other game provides. I'll admit, the story is peak Kojima. Lots of weird names. Die Hard Man, anyone? And 20-minute cutscenes about ghosts and umbrellas. It can be a bit much. And the combat against the mules can feel a bit clunky. But when that low roar music starts playing as you crest a mountain and see a vast valley ahead of you, man, it's magic. It's a slow burn masterpiece about how we need each other to survive.
Nine. Horizon Zero Dawn. I remember seeing the first trailer for Horizon Zero Dawn and thinking, mechanical dinosaurs? Okay, I'm in. But I wasn't prepared for how deep and emotional the story actually was. You play as Aloy, an outcast looking for her mother in a world where humanity has regressed to primitive tribes while high-tech machines rule the wild. The mystery of the old ones and how the world ended is one of the best sci-fi reveals in gaming history. The gameplay is all about the hunt. You aren't just mashing buttons, you're using your focus to scan for weak points, tearing off components with your bow, and setting traps. Taking down a massive thunder jaw by using its own disc launcher against it? Man, that never gets old. The combat feels tactical and fast, and the world itself is breathtaking, from the red deserts of Meridian to the snowy peaks of the Nora lands. If I have to be critical, the human-to-human combat is definitely the weakest link. It feels a bit floaty compared to the machine fights, and the dialogue animations in the first game were a little stiff before the sequel fixed them. But the core mystery, the feeling of being a hunter in a world that doesn't want you, it's perfect. It's a smart, beautiful, and profoundly original epic. Number 10. Skyrim. Look, there's a reason Skyrim has been ported to everything, including your smart fridge. It's the ultimate life simulator.
You start as a prisoner on your way to the chopping block, a dragon attacks, and suddenly, the entire province of Skyrim is yours to explore. The beauty of this game isn't the main story, which is a decent chosen one plot, it's everything else. You can be a legendary warrior, a master thief, a powerful mage, or just a guy who picks flowers and makes potions. The gameplay is simple but addictive. It's all about discovery. You see a mountain in the distance? You can climb it. You see a weird cave? There's probably a 2-hour quest inside involving ancient undead and forbidden shouts. Using the dragon shouts, Fus Ro Da, is still one of the most iconic mechanics in gaming. The sheer scale of the world and the number of stories hidden in every corner is staggering. Now, let's be real. The game is Bethesda buggy as hell. Characters will float away, dragons will fly backwards, and the combat can feel a bit like you're swinging a pool noodle. But none of that matters when you're wandering through a blizzard at night while that epic Jeremy Soule soundtrack kicks in. It's a game about pure freedom. If you haven't lost 100 hours in Skyrim, you haven't fully experienced the RPG genre. Number 11, Marvel's Spider-Man. Swinging through Manhattan in Marvel's Spider-Man is the most therapeutic thing I've ever done in a video game. Insomniac Games finally nailed the physics. It's not just holding a button, you actually feel the momentum and the weight of Peter Parker as you dive between skyscrapers. I've spent hours just swinging around and doing backflips without even touching a single mission because it just feels that good. The gameplay is heavily inspired by the Arkham games, but with a Spidey twist. It's much more vertical and acrobatic. Using gadgets like the web bomb or the trip mine makes you feel like a genius inventor. But the real surprise was the story. This isn't just a superhero game, it's a Peter Parker story. Watching him balance his messy personal life with the rise of the Sinister Six is genuinely emotional. That final boss fight against Doc Ock, it broke my heart, man. If I have to nitpick, some of the MJ and Miles stealth missions can feel like they're slowing down the pace when you just want to be Spidey, and some of the side crimes can get a bit repetitive after 20 hours, but the heart, the polish, and the sheer joy of being the webhead makes this the best superhero game ever made. It's spectacular, amazing, and totally perfect. 12. Ghost of Tsushima. To wrap up this set, we have Ghost of Tsushima, which is basically a love letter to Akira Kurosawa movies. You play as Jin Sakai, a samurai forced to choose between his code of honor and the dishonorable tactics of a ghost to save his home from the Mongol invasion. The art direction here is just wow. There are no mini-maps or cluttered HUDs. You follow the guiding wind to your destination, which keeps your eyes on the beautiful swaying grass and falling leaves. The gameplay is razor sharp. The swordplay feels rhythmic and lethal. One well-timed parry and you're cutting through enemies like butter. Switching between stances to counter different types of Mongol soldiers makes the combat feel like a tactical dance. But the emotional core is the struggle of Jin's soul. Watching him disappoint his uncle, Lord Shimura, for the sake of his people is a heavy, tragic arc that hits a boiling point in the final duel. The side quests can be a bit formulaic. Follow footsteps, fight bandits, repeat. But the atmosphere is so thick you won't care. Whether you're writing a haiku by a lake or engaging in a cinematic standoff at sunset, the game is a photographer's dream. It's a focused, beautiful, and incredibly satisfying samurai epic that every single-player fan needs to experience. 13. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I've played a lot of RPGs, but The Witcher 3 is the one that changed my standards for writing forever. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a professional monster slayer, and what makes this game perfect isn't just the epic scale, it's the side quests. In most games, side quests are filler. Here, a random contract to kill a ghost in a well can turn into a 3-hour emotional tragedy. The world feels lived in, dirty, and morally gray. There are no right choices, only lesser evils, and that's what makes it so human.
The gameplay is a massive dance of two swords, steel for humans, silver for monsters. And honestly, I love the preparation phase. Checking your bestiary, brewing the right oils, and prepping your potions makes you actually feel like a witcher. And let's not forget Gwent. I probably spent 40 hours just playing cards in taverns instead of finding Ciri. The two DLCs, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, are basically full games on their own and feature some of the best villains, hello Gaunter O'Dim, I've ever seen. The combat can feel a little floaty for some, and the movement, especially Geralt's turning circle, can be a bit finicky. But the writing, the characters like Yennefer and Ciri, the sunset over the fields of Velen, it's unmatched. It's a game about a father finding his daughter in a world gone mad, and it's a journey every human needs to take.
Number 14, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I know we've had a dozen Assassin's Creed games since this one, but Black Flag is the undisputed king of the high seas. This isn't just an assassin game, it's the ultimate pirate fantasy. Playing as Edward Kenway, a selfish, charismatic Welsh pirate who accidentally stumbles into the Assassin Brotherhood, is such a refreshing change from the usual hero tropes. He just wants gold and glory, and watching his growth into a man of principle is a surprisingly deep arc. The gameplay is a perfect 60-40 split between land and sea, but man, the sea is where the magic happens. Sailing the Jackdaw through a Caribbean storm while your crew belts out the Leave Her Johnny sea shanty is pure bliss. Engaging a legendary Spanish man-o'-war, crippling it with chain shot, and then swinging over to board it in real time. It's cinematic gold. It's the most fun I've ever had in an open-world sandbox. My only gripe? The tailing missions. Ubisoft was obsessed with making us follow NPCs through bushes back then, and it can definitely slow down the pace. But the moment you get back on that ship and see the horizon, you forget all about it. The ending of this game, where Edward looks out at his fallen friends, is the only time an Assassin's Creed game actually made me tear up. It's a legendary adventure that captures the spirit of freedom like nothing else. 15. Elden Ring. And finally, we have the game that redefined the open world genre, Elden Ring. From Software took their Souls formula and dropped it into a world co-created by George R.R. Martin, and the result is a miracle. The Lands Between is a world shrouded in mystery. There are no map icons telling you where to go. You just see a massive golden tree on the horizon and a weird tower in the distance, and you just go. It's the purest sense of adventure I've felt since I was a kid. The gameplay is the gold standard for third-person action. Whether you're a heavy armored knight, a nimble sorcerer, or a naked guy with a club, the depth of builds is insane. Every boss, from the tragic General Radon to the nightmare-inducing Malenia, is an event that tests your skill and your patience. But because it's open world, if you get stuck, you can just ride your spectral steed, Torrent, in another direction and find a hidden cave or a whole underground city you never knew existed. Is it hard? Yes, it's a From Software game. It will kick your teeth in, and the lack of a traditional quest log can be frustrating if you aren't paying attention. But that's the point. It respects your intelligence and your curiosity. It's a hauntingly beautiful, punishing, and profoundly rewarding masterpiece. It's not just a game, it's a monument to what video games can achieve. And that is the list, guys. 15 games that I truly believe are as close to perfection as we're ever gonna get. These are the titles that defined my life as a gamer, and I hope they do the same for you. Whether you're crying over Arthur Morgan, sailing the Caribbean with Edward, or becoming the Elden Lord, these experiences are worth every second. But hey, that's just my list. Perfection is personal. Which game did I miss that you think belongs on this list? Or which one of these would you put at number 1? Drop a comment below. I read every single one of them, and I love seeing your takes.